some. Remember last week I gave out a case study for you to go through. Did anybody go through? It wasn't compulsory. I remember I mentioned that it wasn't compulsory. Were you able to go through? Oh, I'm not getting any answers. Oh. Were we able to go through?
Sir, please, this is a case study that you asked us.
Glamour and this something skincare product.
Yes.
Okay.
The skincare product.
Yes, Doc, we did.
So what happened? What was in it? Because I actually wanted to this. If I you see, sometimes when I give you, I want you to. I have a reason for asking you to do it. But I wanted us to go through some of the pointers. You know, usually when we get a case study, which at this level, at the master's level, I always say that most statistics show that most of the CEOs you have in the world are master's holders. They are not PhD holders, don't forget. Which means that, to me, they are your level. You understand? And so, and at the master's level, your ability to reason through issues, to identify problems, and solve it. Because if you have a master's in an organization, you belong to the senior management level, and for that matter, you should be able you should be able to solve problems, think through problems, solve it, come up with things that can change the lots of the organizations for good. And so I'm expecting that at least you'll be able to go through some of these case studies and we look at it. Because I wanted us to have a quick discussion on it, and then we'll see how these cases are built. Because in your exams, in your IA, I'm going to give you a case study to analyze and answer. In your exams, there's a compulsory case study, which is half of the marks. So if you're able to do a good case study work, it means that you are just on your way getting out of the course safe. So please, when I give case studies, when I give questions, don't joke. Aside that, you can ask your predecessors. Me, I don't like tricking people. Because if you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. So I'll tell you that whatever I'm doing with you, I will tell you what is going to happen. I'm not interested in tricking you to see how bad you can be. I'm interested in you going through, passing it nicely and go away. So I'm expecting that when I give you work, you also, do your part, but at least going through it, have a good understanding. I'm expecting when you come, you ask me questions about, okay, sir, we read this and this. What does it mean? I've not been able to put together. Then we can have that discussion. But if I give you the work and nobody is interested, what I prepared, I wanted us to discuss it briefly. But the kind of responses I'm getting from you, it doesn't look to me that anybody has gone through well. Or is that not the case?
So
You say?
I don't know about others. I have gone through it.
Okay, so what did you pick from it?
I saw that the case study is basically about what we did last week, the segmentation aspect.
Okay, what does it say? What did you pick? What did you really pick out of it?
What I picked is the strategy they use. Even though the strategy will be very effective for them, but I think I somehow disagree because they left out a specific group.
Okay.
They left out a specific group, the 36 to 45 age group.
Well, and that is very true. Yes, yeah, that's a good observation.
To me, this age group too also are much concerned about their skin care, aging, because they are aging.
In fact, exactly. In fact, they are the people who are much concerned about how they are going to wrinkle.
Yes.
You understand? They are the people
Yes.
who are ready to spend more to look
More.
better because they are growing older and they,
Yes.
they feel they are out of fashion and they want to be considered when the people are talking about who is trending. And so they would
Exactly,
want
Doc.
they would want to look much better. All right. So they are the people who are ready to really, really invest in the business. So for me, for such a case, what it means is that they left out a very important aspect of the market.
Yes,
And
Doc.
the sense in it is that, you see, so you can that's what I was saying the other time, that in your segmentation, you do not have to, most of the things that we have, which is common to us as a means of segmentation, as maybe, and especially I see a lot of people, when you talk about segmentation, when you ask them who is your target market, the youth. Everybody is saying the youth. And when you ask them, they give a very wide range. But between the age of 16 and 35, 40, there are a lot of variations. People are going through a lot of emotions and people are evolving. So there's no way we can all be the same. In fact, even how much we earn and our contribution to life and family and society are completely different. So these are key pointers that I want you to know. Now, one other thing I also wanted you to know is that, you see the way I made a case study, I gave subheadings, isn't it? You notice that there were subheadings in the case. If you read it, you know that there was a portion that was purely segmentation, some
Yes.
portion that was targeting, the portion that was positioning. Now,
Positioning. Yes.
yes, and the concept, what I'm trying to tell you is that when you get a case study to review, usually this is how case studies happen. So a case study will talk about a subject matter, but we break it down into various segments. But it is for you to be unable to decipher what the case means. So if I'm giving this to you in the exam room, I'm not going to break it down like this for you. It will come like a full story that you have to now read and identify what this one means and what that one means and what it means to what. Are you getting the point? So that's the other lesson.
Yes, sir.
That's another lesson I need you to understand, that anytime you get a case study, it comes in blocks, but it is your responsibility on the day to be able to break it down and segment them nicely. Then you can pick the issues in it and address them accordingly. So I'm fine with your observation, and like I indicated, the segmentation, like I indicated to you the other time, you don't need one. It is not advisable to use one variable in segmenting the market. It's important to combine the variables to be able to get a complete persona of a brand, a market that your brand will address effectively. So this is what I wanted you to know, okay? And that's why I made this point so that we could discuss it. But because of time, let's make progress. When I share the slides with you, I'm sure you'll be able to get the point. Today we are looking at digital pricing strategies and digital product life cycle. So when we talk about digital pricing, what comes to mind? When we talk about digital pricing, what comes to mind? Yes. Should I call? And do I have to call? Let me see. Paul,
Hello, sir.
what comes to mind when we say digital pricing? What comes to your mind?
Yes, sir. So, to me, digital pricing refers to using digital technologies to set or adjust or manage an optimal price of products and services in digital markets?
Okay. Any other ideas? That's good. Any other ideas? Any more ideas?
So, please, I want to say,
Yes.
digital pricing too. I would say, there are strategies that businesses use to price digital products, such as their software, apps, and then others.
Okay. Yes, that's another version of it. Any more ideas?
Yes, it also talks about using computers, software, and data to decide how much something should cost.
All right. So basically, using some form of an application, algorithm, and other stuff to determine how the person should pay. And sometimes maybe the usage, your usage and interest in the brand would determine what you should pay. Okay. So let's look at the details. Before we get there, let's look at traditionally when we talk about pricing, we all know how pricing evolves, isn't it? We talk about in all the P's or the marketing variables in an organization, the only variable that actually brings something back to the organization, tangible enough, is price. Because price is the value you put on the item or the concept that you are giving out to the consumer. Okay? And it is that value that helps the organization to manage itself in terms of costs. So when we talk about costs, then we are talking about a lot of other things that are considered before a price or a value is determined on a particular product or a service. So traditionally, you have the cost of the product, you look at competition, look at the customer value, look at the market demand, and then you can now price the product. Now, and this is one of the mechanisms that modern politicians, contemporary politicians are now beginning to leverage on pricing to actually now levy and put taxes on products. So if you follow news very well, you will notice that in recent times, there has been what do you call it? The government made several attempts to put pricing on petroleum products. Why is it that the government do not put taxes on chop bars where we eat, but they put it on petroleum products, and then they put it on now recently pure water, isn't it? Because these are areas that has a very high turnover. The market demand is extremely high. There's customer value, there's competition, and there's cost. You can actually calculate the cost. There are international acceptable rates, in the cost calculation. And for that matter, it becomes very easy to put on your tax elements, and you can actually retrieve them with no sweat. That is why even governments rely on petroleum products, petroleum products and other common commodities to now levy people to manage the country. Now, when it comes to pricing, when you want to look at the details of pricing comes with a lot of strategies. Now, a lot of strategies because universally there are different products, different markets, competition dynamics are different, and the cost elements are also variable. And so organizations adapt various kinds of price strategies based on the kind of market and the demand they have for their products. And some of the basic ones that come to mind is the cost plus pricing. What I show us is here. Sorry. So there are strategies that helps organizations to actually maximize the value of their offerings. And one of them is cost plus pricing. That is basically adding a markup to the cost of the product. So the product costs me 5 cedis to produce. And then I've decided to add 10% of the cost to the product as my profit. Okay, that will take care of everything, everything that I've put in, plus taxes and everything. I'll put on 5 cedis. And so now the total cost will be 5.5. All right. Then there's also value-based pricing, certain price based on perceived value of the customer. So if you come across a nice shirt design, okay, a very nice shirt design. When you look at the shirt design, oh, this shirt is nice. And it will tell you, oh, as for this shirt is made from ostrich leather. So it must cost a certain amount of money. It is a value that is, determining the cost the price you should pay. Then there's also competitiveness, looking at the competitive nature of the price of the market, prices are determined. Then we have the penetration pricing, and then the skimming pricing, that is, entering with high prices to capture the early adopters and later dropping the prices to make sure that you align with the market conditions. These are just simple pricing strategies that are common. Now, let's look at digital pricing. Digital pricing, however, look at value proposition in a different way. So before, unlike regular pricing that is determined by the cost of the production, when it comes to digital pricing, there's the use of technology, data analysis, and algorithm tools to actually determine what price should be put on a value or the value that must be put on an offering or service or a product. So we say that it refers to the processes of setting and adjusting, optimizing prices for products and services in digital marketplaces using technology, data analytics, and algorithm tools. Now, it leverages on real-time data, consumer behavioral insight, and automated systems to create dynamic and personalized pricing models. So, and this is very common. You should for instance, when you let's look at the ride and hailing market we have in the country. For instance, if you want to take Uber, sometimes you want to take a taxi and all the brands, it's one, especially when anytime you notice that the prices are very high, it means that it's even difficult to even get a ride. Sometimes at certain times of the day, the rush hours where you know that rides are very difficult to get, the prices are extremely high. And it's because the prices are determined by real-time data. It is clear their system indicates that there's high demand at that time. And so at that very moment, prices go high. Then also the consumer's behavioral insights. A situation whereby you have a customer who their system indicates that, I know that Yango, for instance, I don't know, in between Yango and Bolt, one of them could give discount from time to time. And the discount is that when you ride a certain kilometers within a certain period of time, and you pay, they give you a certain discount. I remember for a week when I wasn't using my car, somebody smashed my car, back of my car, and I had to give it to him to repair it for me. So within the week I was using, I think, Bolt or so. Then I noticed that initially I was paying the normal rate, but I think that about the third day, fourth day, the rates, something that they were charging me like 80, 90 cedis per trip. I took that ride and then I was paying like 30 something cedis, which I felt bad for the driver. In fact, when I got down, I had to give the driver something. And later I was informed that, oh, it's a when I finished the ride, I got a notification that it was a benefit, was a, what do you call it? A discount given to me based on the ride, the kilometers I've ridden within a period of time. So it tells you that, yes, the consumer's usage is also an issue that is considered. And then automated systems, okay? A system that is able to record and monitor your movement and tell, how effective you are using the platform in that sense. Now, the goal of a digital pricing is to improve the business performance and then cultivate customer trust and improve profitability by making pricing more efficient and effective. And so a lot of times you hardly come across people arguing that the price they are getting for both is too expensive, or the price they are getting for electronic prices that are generated for them is too high. When you buy an air ticket, if you want to travel in the summer, okay, and you buy a ticket now, you buy a ticket right now, you may get a very good discount, okay? But if you buy it during the summer season, probably the ticket will be high. And the purpose is that the person who bought it earlier has planned and all that. And so, based on the person's effort in cultivating that trust for the organization in return also gives certain discount because it helps to plan and align accordingly. And so the organization knows that he has already booked business. It doesn't struggle to advertise and push itself around. Okay, so these things help the organization to now make informed decisions about the business, and for that matter, helps in influence the kind of pricing that is given to the customer in that sense. All right. So let's look at how digital pricing transformation happen. Now we're saying that digital pricing is dynamic in nature and it relies on algorithm pricing, personalized pricing, where businesses adopt prices based on demand fluctuations, competitors' action, user profile, and contextual factors. Yeah, sorry. So basically, digital pricing is commonly used in e-commerce, ride-hailing platforms, airline ticketing, hotel, and subscription-based digital services. So that is why you see that those of you who use ChatGTP a lot, you notice that you use it to a certain time, they will ask you to subscribe. Those of you who use what do you call it? The software that checks spelling. What is the name? I've forgotten the name, but all these platforms.
Grammarly.
Yes, Grammarly. When you use Grammarly, it will give you the first. As we go on, we'll look at the types of pricing, and you will come to realize that it's intentional. There's a kind of digital pricing that gives you freebies from the beginning, and then at a certain time, they find a nice way to now indulge you to pay for the services that you are offering. And if you don't pay to a certain period of time, they will sabotage you in a very nice way. But sometimes they will set you up with a very bad English. You sometimes read very well. There are sometimes you see that it will give you some construction of language that it doesn't really make sense. So if you don't take care and you don't read well, you'll be accepting certain expressions, and then you disgrace yourself. It's because you haven't paid. So they will give you the freebies, they will introduce it to you nicely for free. You enjoy it, you will now cultivate, you become loyal to it, you begin to trust it. And when you begin to trust it, then they start also demand for payment. And when you don't fulfill that, now they find a nice way to sabotage you and make sure that you feel the pain for not, subscribing accordingly. All right, so let's look at the key features of digital pricing. This includes real-time adjustments, personalization, and automation. So when we talk about real-time adjustment, we are looking at prices that are constantly updated in response to changing market conditions. Like I said, if you look at some of the industry that we've already mentioned earlier on, we talk about e-commerce, ride-hailing platforms, airline ticketing, hotel booking, and subscription-based digital. These are services that actually price based on real-time adjustment. So the systems are created in a way that anytime there's pressure on it of a certain level, automatically the system adjusts its prices by a certain percentage. Okay, the algorithm is able to calculate and put in on more margins that instantly works. And so you see it in real time. These things are calculated in real time, and as a consumer, you also pay this accordingly. Then there's also personalization, the individual user history and purchasing behavior or location. So when the system locates that you are a good user, you have a good history with a brand, of course, certain concessions are given to you. Then also the automation, there's algorithm and the machine learning aspect of it that enable the scalability and accuracy and determination of the price. So, and people who in literature now, there's a huge concern about what the algorithm, some of the challenges with the algorithm. Okay, now the algorithm is gradually becoming a problem because it's a machine that determines the accuracy of something. And sometimes, yeah, the machine may determine the accuracy of it, but the person in question might not be ready. An example is when sometimes if you are on some of these what do you call airline platforms, you realize that sometimes you get a notification for what do you call it? For a discount when you are not ready to fly. Last week, for instance, I was there that my what do you call it? My third tier payment, the statutory payment, Petra. Petra sent me a message last 2 weeks that I qualify for a loan of 50,000 or so. And I'm just asking myself, what have I done to deserve a loan of 50,000? And why would you want to give me a loan for 50,000? So, and this message keep on popping up. So, at the beginning, I thought was this scamming thing. So, I passed by their office to find out that is it really something that they do? Because I don't know that. I'm not aware that they give loans. What I know is that they are into pension scheming and they manage pension funds and so on. But I never knew that they are into giving loans as well. So when I passed by, they said, "Oh yeah, they've started giving loans, but the loans are given based on certain specific criteria." And I said, "Okay, fine." But just for that clarity. But why would they send me such an information? Because the system is learning that okay, somebody has accrued a certain amount of money and the person deserves, or the person, if the person is in need, can actually claim a certain amount of money. You understand? So that's the automation part of it. Because the algorithm and the machine learning is able to assess the customer, and then make an offer to the customer. And then if the customer is interested, can pursue and then take it on as well. Okay, so it's important you notice that. So basically, the transformation in pricing can be realized in the emergence of digital platforms, the digital market dynamisms, data-driven pricing decisions, emergence of AI and big data, and then ethical concerns and shareholder expectations. These are the reasons, these are the processes and the dynamisms that comes with the digital pricing. Now let's look at choosing the right digital price solutions. So in choosing the right digital price solutions, what are the basic factors that we consider? One, obviously, is the cost. That is how much are we willing to spend on a digital pricing solution? And then also ease of use. How easy is it for us to enjoy the service or the offer? And then the features. What features are important to you and your business? Then flexibility, how flexible that the solution need to be accommodated using changing needs, accommodate your changing needs, and then what level of support does the vendor offer? So when you want to make a solution, you want to select a solution online, there are a few things you must consider. Unfortunately, we don't apply a lot of these things because most of the online platforms that are very common to us, we don't like exploring new ideas, okay? Because if it's about chat GTP, or if you want a platform that provides social knowledge, there are a few more that are very common. But of course, we know that we, in our part of the world, we are not very inquisitive enough to be chasing some of these things. So what we do is that we only use the one that is very common to us, that we have tried and tested it, and we believe that the usage is effective enough um, for our use. Any question at this time? Any question? All right. Now let's look at the digital pricing strategies. So when unlike the regular pricing strategy where we have cost plus and other things, and then the digital pricing strategies, it also have a list of strategies that are considered. And one is the dynamic pricing, that prices that change in real time based on demand. And that one is used mainly by the airlines and mainly the transport business. Okay, that because when there's traffic, when there's high demand, immediately the automation is able to identify and regulate the pricing accordingly, to benefit the organization. Then there's also personalized pricing, that prices are tailored to individual users based on their behavior. So the ride and hailing industry does it. Amazon does it as well. There are some personalized pricing based on your usage. If you use it for a lot more times, and one of the recent areas is those who are into investment, those who invest in what do you call it, lottery, those who are into betting. Now, the betting industry introduced something somewhere last year where they tried to encourage peer pressure. So they will tell you, use my promo code and you get a certain initial bonus. All right. And that is personalized pricing. So the person that you are using his initial, that you're using the promo code would benefit from it. And if anybody also use your promo code, that is assumed that you encourage the person to sign on the program, that person you also get something from that person's account. And so that's how it's like the cockroach formula, where the more you encourage people to come in, the more, what do you call it, discount that you get for yourself. And this is usually a personalized form of pricing. Then there's also the subscription-based pricing, that recurring payments for access, used basically for recurring payment. That is those who are into Netflix, DSTV, and stuff. That's of course the subscription-based pricing, and you use as you pay. So you pay for the subscription package that you want. So if you want DSTV basic, you can get. If you want standard, you can get. If you want premium, you pay according to what you view what you are paying for. Then there's also the pay per use pricing. The users pay only for what they consume, and like cloud computing and ride sharing. So what you only pay for what you use. So for instance, if you took an Uber from Accra to Adenta, and then when you got to Legon, you had an emergency and you want to cancel the ride, of course, you are not going to pay the estimate that was given to you. You pay far less because you only pay for what you have used. You don't necessarily have to pay for the Adenta estimate that was given to you from the beginning. In any case, recently, I don't know how often the estimates change. Now everybody's behaving like ECG. They give you an estimate and that becomes your bill. Something that counts as an estimate. I don't even know why they go around discounting. The other time I got into, I got to know that the bills that they give us are usually estimates. But if you give somebody an estimate, then the person doesn't pay in full, do you go disconnecting the person? I don't really understand, but anyway, that's not what we are discussing. So then there's also psychological pricing that uses price perception techniques. That is a 9.99 instead of 10. So that's very common. Unfortunately, this is not too common in the open market. It's when you go to the retail outlets, the app market retail outlets, you find some of these things there. Then the auction-based price, that real-time bidding where prices are determined by demand. Example, eBay. So those of you who know eBay, somebody can put something on eBay for sale, and based on the enquiries and the enquiry that comes in, the person determines the price, of what has to be done. Then there's also the freemium model. That is basic service for free, but premiums features are paid. Like Spotify, LinkedIn, and then Grammarly, for instance. Grammarly is one of them. Grammarly, ChatGTP, they all use the freemium model, whereby the basic services are given you for free. And the reason is that you have to develop a certain kind of liking for it, a situation whereby you get to a point that you yourself can no longer say no to that brand. And then when you are entangled in it, that's where they will ask you to pay. And I think I mentioned the last time, one of the platforms that I see doing this is also, what do you call it? Google. Google suddenly asking for so much. Today, Google will tell you that your account is full. They are always warning you of your account being full and that you're going to lose a lot of data if you don't do A, you don't do B. And the reason is that they want to just push you to be able to sign on to their platform and then get whatever they want from you. So it's important you also note this kind of pricing. It's very common. This is very common. They know that Africans, we like cheap things and we like things for free. And so they feed us with this, end up taking all our information without us even knowing what we are doing. So these are details of it. So let's look at dynamic pricing. An example is the airline, ride-sharing industry, surging prices on Uber, higher fares during peak demand, airline tickets, AI-driven algorithms to predict price trends, personalized and AI-based pricing that talks about consumer behavior tracking, your purchasing history, location, and preference. And that's why I think it was this class that I indicated to you that you have to observe your usage even on Google. You realize that sometimes Google will ask you to confirm if you are the same person using the account. And the reason is that it is really tracking what you are doing. So anytime you are making changes in your preferences, if you're adding anything new, if you start to show interest in anything new, the system, machine want to learn that you are the same person developing new interests. And that interest will be added to your profile and then address you accordingly. So it's important that we consider that as well. Then we have the subscription base, like I indicated, how Netflix, DSTV, and all these other freemium activities platforms behave. They look at subscription based on your tiers, either basic, standard, or premium. What is geographical, different prices based on country. If you remember when the Minister of Information had an authentication with DSTV and we're discussing, there were a lot of information flowing around about why Ghana's DSTV subscription is high. And so they were compared with certain other West African countries, certain other countries in Africa. And the explanation they gave was that it's the subscription base that makes the difference. Okay, the subscription base makes a lot of difference. So it means that geographical pricing is also an issue. Based on the country, based on the development, based on the per capita income of the country. Sometimes you put certain brands in certain countries and you cannot charge the actual price. It may be very less, it may be very low. You put it in other countries too, where the per capita income is high. Of course, that's where you also milk it, as just like the way MTN is doing to Ghana. MTN in other countries, especially in East Africa, they don't charge much. But when it comes to West Africa, MTN charges a lot. And because in the East African development trajectory is not as fast and comprehensive as the West Africans. And so the West Africans are ahead of, the East Africans in so many ways. And for that matter, they find it reasonable to charge more in West Africa. Then also we have the psychological pricing that is anchored on the showing a higher price first to make discounts seem bigger. So people are also encouraged. Sometimes women who like this a lot. Women like to negotiate on pricing and bring it down. And even if you are giving them 1 pesewa, women will like it. Usually women enjoy that kind of pricing. And then the bundle pricing. See what MTN will do to us. In actual fact, why is it that their unlimited bundle is it $399? What is $399? 400, but 399 cedis. People also buy. Okay, that's what. For that, it doesn't. So you can't say it's 400. You can only talk about 300 and something. You can never talk about 400 because it's not 400. Okay, so these are some of the deals that come with it. Let's look at pay per use. That's one of the common. Now, in fact, that's one of the emerging pricing that is happening now. Even on social media, the use of your phone. Now, phones have meters, right? Most of your phones have bill meters. It tells you the data you've used for the day. If you want to convert into cash to see how much money you spend on the day too, you can verify. And your phones are going to give you this information. And it all falls under the pay-per-use pricing system. So you only pay for what you are using. Okay, as to whether you have the time to monitor all that, that is another question altogether. And now ECG is very is a classical example of that. Ghana Water is also using that a lot. Users pay per kilowatt an hour or water volume used. Okay, it's becoming a more common on digital services, transportation, and utilities. It offers flexibility to customers while allowing business to monetize their services based on demand. How our companies must balance usage tracking, billing complexity, and revenue predictability for sustainable growth. Yes, so you need to be able to balance all these things to have a sustainable growth as an organization. Now, when it comes to pay-per-click, there are other mechanisms that can be understudied. For instance, usage tracking, billing mechanism, scalability and flexibility, cost efficiency for customers. So, for instance, when we talk about usage tracking, businesses must track and measure user consumption in real time. So, I don't know how many of you have experienced reduction in your electricity bill, whether postpaid or prepaid, during the doomsday situation. But sometimes if you calculate how much power you have enjoyed the whole month against how many days you've been off, how many hours you've been off against how many hours that you had power, you realize that about 40% of the time within the month you didn't have the power. but the bill that you pay is the same. Sometimes I've always asked myself what is happening. Most of my colleagues there, when you ask them, they can't even tell you anything. They say, "Oh, you people are worrying us, and you're always as for you, those people, academic people, you're always using scientific." Then they themselves can't even give you any proper explanation. They just create something and that's it. But if I'm paying per use, then it's only fair that you bring me a meter that I can also verify what I'm using. I should be able to know what I've used from yesterday to today. And then I can make an informed decision that, okay, this evening I don't want to sleep in the light. I don't want to sleep in ECG in light. I want to sleep in darkness because I've overused my power for the week. But hey, we live in a country whereby we just talk about digitalization without understanding it, and so they bully us with some of these things, and then they get away. Then there's also the billing mechanism that our customers are charged based on their actual usage instead of the flat subscription fee. So example is the ride and sharing apps like Uber and so on. We've already discussed much of that. And then scalability and flexibility. Customers can scale up or down based on their needs, reducing unnecessary costs. So if I'm paying per click or per usage, then if I'm travel, for instance, for a weekend and I don't switch on any light, I don't have any gadget in my home, then it's assumed that for that weekend, I should save power. Okay, but does it really happen? Do we feel that? That's another subject for another day. Then there's also cost efficiency for customers. Users only pay for what they consume, which can be more economical than fixed pricing. Like example, electric vehicles charging station charge per kilowatts. Yes, so those of you who use EV cars, it's easy to experience that because that one is very clear. Now let's look at some of our advantages. So for a pay-per-use pricing system, of course, cost saving for customers, no need for long-term commitments. All right, because if I'm paying based on what I've used, then of course, if I decide not to use it, for instance, in my business, if I decide to close that business unit, I can ask you not to power the place anymore. That's all. So don't provide me power for that unit anymore. It ends the matter there. So it means that you, the provider, you are never short of revenue that you are likely to get. Okay. The scalability, user can increase or decrease consumption as needed. More revenue opportunities. Businesses attract a wide range of customers, of course. That is, if they notice it, then better customer satisfaction. Users feel they are paying fairly for what they use. As for that, I don't know, but I don't know if everybody experienced that. Now, let's look at some of the challenges. So, revenue uncertainty, like I indicated, there's always revenue uncertainty because you don't know if, for instance, if you have budgeted or estimated that this month you are going to get a certain amount of revenue, there's a likelihood that you will not get because the people that you anticipate to get their subscription may not be interested. This month, people might have traveled, people may have their problems, people are paying school fees or doing something else, and so they don't think that they will put their budget in your aspect of their lives, and that one can affect your revenue. Then there's also the complexity in billing systems. Okay, like I indicated, for a company like ECG, Ghana Water, and those other pay-per-use platforms, the consumer must be able to transparently see in real time what the usage has been. I don't know if we have any such a system in the country whereby you can really determine how much you have used. Somebody can share if you have any, but I don't have any example to provide in that sense. So they use real-time trackers and precise usage measurements. And it's the complexities in there can create a lot of problems. And that's why I don't believe that ECG is doing any good job because you can't give estimate to people, and then when you come and pick, what happens when you come and pick the actual usage? Is because it's supposed to be real time. So if you cannot give me real time bills, if you can't give me a meter that provides a real time usage, because the thing has been used. So if your platform is good enough, it will pick the real time usage and bill accordingly. It doesn't have to go. It doesn't have. You don't need somebody to come and read a post bill and give something else. In that sense. Then there's customer resistance. Some users prefer predictable subscription-based prices. Yes, because of the lack of transparency in the process. Then lastly, the freemium model that we have already discussed, like as indicated, software platforms that will give you initial subscription, basic subscription for free, but expect that as you progress and you enjoy and you form the behaviors and habits towards that usage, you start to pay for it accordingly. Now, generally, these are some of the challenges with digital pricing. But predominantly, there's the issue of transparency and fairness concerns. How do you determine that the Uber that I ordered today, I pay the right price? Because I live at Adenta. If I'm between Adenta and GCTU, in the morning when I'm going in an Uber, I pay 120 Ghana cedis. Why is it that when I'm coming back in the afternoon, I pay 150 or I pay 85? You understand? They will tell you traffic and all sorts of things, but none of it is actually transparent enough. Okay, because if you say that you are increasing the prices based on demand, the demand may be somewhere else, not towards my lane. The fact that I'm not getting the ride immediately does not mean that there's a shortage of rides immediately, because I can wait for 5 minutes and the situation will change. Okay, so why then do you price me high because of difficulty in getting the ride? So there's a huge issue about transparency and fairness, which actually have saddled these kind of industry. Unfortunately, we don't have policies to guide us. So whatever happens, we don't have anything to say than to accept it, because we don't participate in stakeholder engagement in these things, and they won't even tell us before I realize. They say Parliament has passed this, government has done that, this one has done this, and everybody must obey, and that's it. Unfortunately, And the key issues is that lack of clarity. When pricing decisions and algorithms are not clearly communicated, users often feel disadvantaged. Yes. So how often? I've heard some Uber drivers complaining that they take too much from them. We hear both drivers also complaining that for such a long distance, the customer is paying too low because of the discount that is being given. And when you speak to the authorities, the platform will tell you that these drivers have benefited already. They have been given specific sure allowances. They've already enjoyed some allowances already. And when they are paying, then they are also complaining. So you don't really see who is at fault or who to blame. So you are caught in the crossfire and you don't even know what to do. And then you have to manage yourself in that manner. Any question? Any question?
No, sir.
All right. So let's
Yes,
quickly look.
Doc.
Yes, you have a question?
Hello?
Yes, Mawan. Please, you have a question?
Hello?
Yeah, Mawan, I can hear you. Please go ahead, Mawan. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You are loud and clear. I think my one has a problem with his network.
Okay. All right. If he comes on, he can ask his question, no problem. But we'll still proceed. Let's move to the second aspect of it. We'll talk about digital product life cycle. There is we have okay, let's do this and then we'll break quickly, and then there's a case study I want us to read and come and discuss. So when we get there, we'll just give it out accordingly. All right, so let's look at digital product lifecycle management. So for products, well, when digitalization, basically digitalization has actually affected almost everything in our lives, and it includes the way products emerge, the way products die off, and so on. Now, I think one of the questions I should ask you is that when we talk about trends, okay, trends, what are trends? What we are doing, we're having a digital discussion. Let's look at what are trends. Can somebody tell us what he knows about trends? So when you say something is trending, what does it mean?
Francis,
Yes.
trend is something that is being discussed at a particular moment that is making waves in the internet.
All right. Yes.
Or that
Any
is
more?
what is being talked about most on the internet.
Great. Any more ideas?
Fafa.
You say?
No, Fafa.
Hey, Fafa. Hey, good to hear from
Yes.
you.
Thank you, sir. So when we talk about trends, we're talking about the direction things are moving right now.
All right. Great. Yeah, that's another side of it. But any more ideas before I say anything? The funny thing about trends is,
Popular changes in specific topics.
right. But you see, there's something interesting. These are we call them trends because that is the talk of town at that moment, isn't it? Isn't it? It means that
Yes, sir.
it means that in the next, yeah, especially on Twitter or X, in the next like 5 hours, that trend could be replaced by another trend, isn't it?
Sure.
Yes.
Exactly. So what it means is that when it comes to digital, so in terms of trend, something may happen for either good or bad. And then we all talk about it, we all say something about it for a period of time. In fact, now that period of time has become so short that it can trend for only like an hour or some 15 minutes, and that's it. Because if you think you are crazy, people are more crazier than you are. So the more crazy stuff that you bring up, people all over the world are bringing up much more crazy issues that has more attention than what you think you have. That concept of trendiness also means that products online or online issues have an issue of short life. So the issues will come up and in a very short time, it's gone. In the same way, your brand may be trending or you may have a very strong presence on social media for a very short time, and then you'll be off and somebody else will come. Well, somebody else from another world, another context will just take over the trends. So it makes a very huge difference between digital product lifecycle management and the regular product life cycle. So the regular product life cycle, those of you who did marketing and management in your first degree, you know that it starts from the product introduction, the growth, maturity, and the decline. And then at the decline stage, you have a good management system, maybe it will rise again, it will start growing again. Or the company will find a way to sustain the maturity stage for a very long time before it starts to decline. It's straightforward. Now, we all understand how it works. Now, when it comes to digital products, it's a whole new dimension. So digital product comes with its own new dimension. It doesn't follow the trend of the regular product life cycle in any way. Let's look at what the text says. So basically, it involves consistently updating and improving the product based on user feedback, research, and market trends to keep it competitive, relevant, and profitable over time. So if you have a brand online and you cannot keep giving feedback, if you cannot follow the market trends and you cannot be competitive and show relevance, you might not be profitable over time. Okay? Now, indicating that, like I indicated earlier on, digital products have a very short life. So basically, it describes the stages of digital products from its conception to retirement. It is divided into several phases. Unlike the regular product life cycle, that has some 4 or 5 stages. The digital product life cycle has several stages. And in fact, the advantage of the digital product life cycle is that sometimes even when you fail, you have the opportunity to come in and rearrange it. So to succeed, the digital product have a strategy for managing its cycle. So digital product life cycle might involve consistent updating and improving the brand, as we've already indicated. Let's look at the difference. So if we look at the difference between, but I wanted to give you an assignment with this to try and identify the difference between the digital product life cycle and the regular product life cycle. So I will not treat it. I'll give it to you an assignment in another way, not here. So you will have to go and learn it and come. Now let's look at the stages of the digital product life cycle. So it starts from the first stage is ideation. How do you conceptualize the idea? So identify the market needs and define product scope. And that means that you should have the ability to determine the gaps in the market, what is lacking. And then once you have been able to identify the gaps in the market, you have to come up with an idea that can solve the gap that you've seen in the market. And in doing that, you need to also ensure that you properly are describing the scope. And when we say the product scope, what exactly is the product coming to do? You are not, because don't forget that you've identified something specific in the market that is not going right. And the purpose of your idea is to fill in that particular gap, not to just throw it in the market like any other person. Unfortunately, brands in our part of the world, we are not able to use social media. We are not able to leverage on branding well because of our inability to really understand what kind of idea, what is the gap, and what do we want to satisfy. We are tempted, or we behave as if there are no problems, or we are just throwing in something. So we throw in something and we also get something at the end of the day. All right? Now, once you identify, you are be able to identify or pick up the idea and conceptualize it. The next thing is you develop and test. So how are you developing it? The software creation, the iterations, and testing before launch. So how are you developing the ideas? What kind of idea is it? How are you testing it? Now, for instance, I think 2 years ago, there was a guy that I asked to do a website for me. And I asked him to test the website. The guy was upset with me for asking him to test my website for me. And I was like, but how can you set up a whole website for me and tell me that that is it? I should go ahead and use without testing it to see what people are saying about the website. How easy is it for people to navigate the website? Earlier on, when we look at the pricing, we notice that one of the challenges is fit per purpose, uses of the platform. Is the platform actually useful to the solution, or it is just there? You understand? So before you launch any software, you want to launch any concept online, it is important to test it, understand what consumers are saying. Unfortunately, we just throw anything out there and we think that it should work. All right. Because when you test it, a colleague of mine, one of my colleagues that I completed my PhD with, she is in the US right now. And the job she does, her company, all they do is that they test softwares. But in a week, she tests 3 different softwares. They have various target markets, people that you look for people to use the software and give you their concerns about the software. In every week, I think she tests like 2 or 3, and she's paid very, very well because they know that the platform must be fit for purpose. So you don't just go and get any quack developer to now set you up with anything and then throw it out there thinking that it should work. No. There's a need for you to test it and make sure that you fill all the gaps before you launch, and enter the market, thereby releasing the product. And at the fourth stage, you start growing and scaling, expanding features, customer base, and revenue generation. At the mature stage and optimization, enhancing performance and user experience. And then it decline and start setting, phase out obsolete services or transition users. So let's go to the next one. So let's see. If you look at how it works, now look at this diagram well. This is how it starts. So at the extreme left side, you see that there's something, people are there, they are thinking about it, creating the idea, the vision and the strategy they have in mind. Then the value proposition is clear. Okay, so these people will start, and then they will start it. It will go through the concept, the ideation will go through concepts, proof of concept. In fact, at this stage, if the concept is not working well, when you test the concept and it's not working well, or it's not providing the value proposition, or it doesn't align with the vision and strategy, you have to revise it. That's the difficulty with the digital product life cycle, because you have to, until you pass this stage, you cannot move to the designing and development stage. Because when you get to the design and development stage, as you can see in the diagram, the arrow also shows that it must go through another cycle. It goes through the MVP, the prototype, it comes back. If there are challenges, you deal with it. Okay? If there are challenges, you deal with it. And if it works well, then you start growing it before it now comes into the arena of digital product. Then it goes to the market. Now, when it goes to the market and you test it and people start bashing you, or people start raising concern about the brand, the product, what you do is that you come back and work on it. You come back and redesign, go through the prototype again, and then go back to the digital product straight to the market once more. So when it comes to the digital product life cycle, it's a bit much more complex than what you would meet when it comes to the regular product life cycle, which is very simple and straightforward and very common to logic. But in the digital cycles, this is how it happens. So a lot of times, those of you, is there anybody here who is a graphic designer or a web designer? Do you have anybody among you who is a web designer? Is anybody here who is a web designer or a graphic designer?
Richard, where are you? Sir, we have one here. He's called Richard Otu.
Richard, but why are you running away?
I think he has not. I don't know. He was having troubles with his connectivity. So
I
I'm
actually
sure.
wanted him to share. I actually wanted him to share his experience on how some of these things work. Yes, because it's very very tedious. It's very very tedious, and that is why it is. It's a creative activity. It's a creative activity, and creative people will come just like trying to come up with a song. You say you create a song, you create a beat, you give it to somebody. Somebody will say, "Oh, this one, my verse will not fit on it, or change this part to fit this." You see that what creativity goes through to come out for us to hear it as good music. That's exactly what all these things. That's how these things happen.
Dog.
Yes.
So when it comes to the web development, one person normally cannot develop a website because it's supposed to be
Okay.
a team.
Okay.
Let's say we have a graphic designer over there, we have a programmer. Sometimes we have website templates like Joomla and WordPress that some people use. But then if we need a correct website, then we are going to write a code using HTML. So we have someone who's a programmer that is going to program the code. You have someone who's going to bring the idea on board, the idea developer. We have the
Yeah.
graphic designer, and we have the person who is going to look at the interface that the user will be using. And after that, we have someone who is going to test the website before we will give the website out. Yes,
Exactly.
Dennis. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you. So you see, going through this process alone is not a day job. In fact, I remember when I was working with USAID, our website was back then we were paying like $200,000 for a website, and back then I never understood it. Like I never found it common in my mind that why should we pay that much money a year? We're paying like $200,000 for a website because the hostess were from the US. They were not Ghanaian web design developers. And like our brother is saying, you look at the processes. If you want to get it right, look at what you have to go through and the people that you have to sign on. So if you're an agency, it means that you must have all these people in your camp and you have to be paying them regularly, paying them monthly to be able to do these jobs for you. That's not small. That's no joke. It's not that our kind of graphic designer that we know, our kind of web developers that we know, they go and buy the template online and then they just fill in something and they give you. It's partially the reason why the website will not work. So some basic study I did on website, a lot of websites have a very bad termination rate. It means that when people land on the website, they look at one or two pages and then they log out. But you don't care to find out why people are logging off your website. You come to notice that they are not seeing what they want to see because it has not been thought through properly. The journey, the consumer, the visitor journey is not properly designed. So, for instance, if I land on your landing page right now, what is the first thing I should see? What should I click first? As somebody who doesn't know anything about your brand, or somebody that saw your brand on Facebook, and I followed through Facebook and I've landed on your website, what is the first impression that you give me? And how do you sustain my interest? Because if I wasn't interested, I won't follow you through from social media to your website. Because that's a big risk. That's where people scam. So I see you on social media and I bring you to a website. It's like walking around circle and you see somebody and the person say that, oh, I saw a vision about you. Come, let's go to my house. And then let me go and pray for you. Where is my house? He said the house is in Dansuman. So you sit in the person's car from Circle to Dansuman. And then tomorrow you come and tell me that when you go to Dansuman, the guy raped you. I was asking, where come? You say it may be true, but nobody will be sympathizing with you because it's like you begin to look stupid in the eyes of the ordinary person. It's the same thing. So when I see your advert on Facebook and I click it, I follow it, and I land on your your website? What is the first impression I get? And how do you ensure that the little time I spend on your website is beneficial to me? I get stuck to it and I don't leave immediately. Those are the things we should be interested in developing some of these concepts. Let's look at the details of how we develop the ideas, because this is key. So why do we start with the ideation? So identifying market needs and defining product scope. How do you do it? Market research, consumer insight. By analyzing industry trends, consumer pain points, and competitive landscape. Especially consumer pain points. What are the complaints from consumers? Now, if you look at the story of Airbnb, it was just people who started having an alternative to hotels that, why should we always go and sleep on a hotel? A hotel that somebody has done his thing on it yesterday night, this dawn. Then me this morning to also go and sleep on it. You change the mattress for me, you change the bench, I also go and sleep and I also do mine on it. Another person come and do it on it. So why can't we have something different? So people now look at, let's try something new. And that is the beginning of Airbnb. Okay? So, and in these things, you must also understand, how do you monetize? So how do you monetize Airbnb? So now a lot of Airbnbs are now registering. Now you don't come across there used to be hotels, motels, and all those things. All of them have now changed to Airbnb. And the reason is that they found a way of monetizing what they do. So if I have a big house enough, I have a few people now here in Ghana, people are using their homes. But when it started, the concept was to use people want to feel. So if I'm American and I come to Ghana, I want to feel how Ghanaians behave, how Ghanaians live. So I'll be happy to live in a Ghanaian's house whereby he lives with his family. There's an apartment I can also live in. When they are pounding their fufu Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, I can experience it. Okay, even though I may not get some of the food to eat, you will experience real culture, how people believe, how people behave. Before you step out there, it gives you much more than what you pay to see by the roadside. Okay, so when you want to go to, originally that was the concept of Airbnb. Unfortunately, once it is monetized, people now build a whole apartment and they want to use all of them completely as Airbnb. But the original concept of Airbnb was to experience the culture of a people. So you go to the country, you want to live with somebody. I remember when I was younger, my dad is a very charitable, my late dad is a very charitable. I remember we always had a visitor's room. And every now and then, people were coming to sleep there for, I don't know. My father came out with all sorts of friends. They come and live there. Some, they come and sleep there overnight, and the next day they are gone. Some are males, some are females. They come and live with us. Some are foreigners, some are Ghanaians from different. They come and live with us, they go. And once in a while in town, you meet some of them. Some of them, they kind of return that good gesture to us, or extended it to some of us, some of them too. But I remember one of them came and he stole, I think when he was going, the person stole our bed sheet and some things that were in the room into her bag, and then she ran away with it. That's how far, but the thing is that people want to experience something more than just paying for a hotel to sleep and get away. All right? So what is the gap in the business that you want to satisfy? All right? Then the product roadmap and the vision. Outline the product goals, key functionalities, and the unique value proposition. So if you want to build a website, is it an e-commerce website? If it's an e-commerce website, it means that you must have a place where people can make the order. They can initiate the order, start the conversation, and then make payments. Don't create a platform whereby people will make the order here, go and sleep and come back and pay on another platform. So unfortunately, they will tell you these people used to have, I think, that this phone company, Franco, used to advertise that there are some numbers online. It is not for them, so don't pay any money to anybody. No. If you want to engage online, you should, as the part of the responsibility is to secure the online platform to ensure that when people start the conversation, they can end it. Because the time that the person is spending with you, you might not get it. Again, somebody may be spending, you may get somebody to spend the time with you online, but you may not get that time again. And another time, the person may be doing something else, may not be interested in anything that you are doing. So when you have the opportunity for somebody to land on your website, you should be interested in ensuring that the person actually finish the business before they leave. So essential element of an idealizing product means digital product vision, market opportunity utilization, development timelines, and a critical requirement, and identifying the key functionalities and the features of the brand. Then is stage 2 that has the development and testing. At this stage, focus on software creation, iteration, and testing. So what are we looking for? Agility. Okay. Implementing sprint for rapid prototyping and continuous improvement. User feedback, gathering real-time insight to ensure to refine the product. Then the security and compliance check. Ensuring cybersecurity, data protection, and industry standard compliance is key to ensuring that you are, sustaining yourself online. And in the digital product design, you also have system design, interface design, and process design. And I think Kenu somehow indicated some of them, that for a website, there should be a system design. Somebody who would think about how the product should look. You see, you can come with an idea, but you might not be inclined to actually tell us how it should look like. That is why it is good. I will subscribe to his idea of web design, because yes, you may conceive the idea, but you cannot produce the concept. Somebody else will have better way of producing the concept and ensuring that your dream, your vision comes to light. All right. And then there's also the interface design, the layout and the typography, the color and the icon buttons. How are they, emerging? How are you utilizing them? A well-designed interface enhances user experience and influence how users perceive the product quality and value. So if I land on your page and immediately I click something, I get this information, immediately it's giving me this, I'm sending this, I'm getting responses, and I'm moving. It gives you an impression that this is an efficient. You see, those scammers, I always liken it to the scammers. Those who are into scamming, they are the most efficient product designers you can find, because immediately you land on their page, they know how to get you. They know the next move you should take. Why would somebody call you, a scammer call you on phone and tell you that, phone now, Kitano, with the bow number, no, with the bow number, ni shame. One can say, Bomanu, also with the bow number, ni shame now, because then the members will not catch them. The person knows how to take you through the journey to a point where you make the mistake. And then he knows exactly where to punch you. Okay, so the interface is key. And then the processes. How are you ensuring that, you identify the steps by step to the end user and to arrive at the desired outcome while users using the product? So how will the end user actually benefit from the product, and ensuring that whatever you put out there is actually real? Okay. Now the stage 3 goes for launching and market entry, and then releasing the product to the market. So you have to go to the market strategy and implementing digital market strategies, influencer collaboration, and promotional campaigns. You can leverage on all these strategies, or you also have the cross-platform deployment, ensuring capability across web, mobile, and cloud environments. And this is what most of the banks will do. And the banks will launch a campaign, and they will make sure that it's on the ATM, it's on the mobile app, it's on the web app, and all the apps that the banks use. And then onboarding and user adoption. One of the key gaps in an online engagement, where you fail to onboard and offer tutorials to people on how to use and observe the value of what you are producing. People feel like it's usually a feeling like nothing is happening. Okay, but let's look at the different strategies for digital product launch. So when you want to launch a digital product, there are a couple of ideas, and one of them is a soft launch, which involves making the medium value product available to a small group of early adopters. So you look at early adopters because it's a new idea. You don't expect that everybody is going to subscribe. So you focus on the early adopters, people who explore and want to also, who are ready or who are susceptible to new ideas. These are the people called early adopters. They see new ideas and they don't fear the risk. They want to venture into new ideas and see what will come to the table. Then you also have the MVP to release to the general market with a comprehensive marketing campaign. That's also, so that's a hard launch. You go blazing every angle of the internet, showing off on social media, web, and all other places that you are there. The people should look at you. Then there's a dark launch. That is, the MVP features are medium variable products are quietly introduced to specific percentage of users to observe their responses. So you have, and this is much appropriate to an existing brand that already have its followers. So if you have been able to develop it to communities, then you want to launch it in some specific community to see how effective they are being in that sense. And then based on that, you can now make fair judgment as to what works and what doesn't work. Then we look at the growth and scaling and expanding features, customer base, and revenue generation by enhancing the features and upgrading. So why would iOS or iPhone will always tell you to upgrade? Well, they upgrade some of the functions some of the functions you may have to pay for it to enjoy. That's how they also make their money. Okay, that's how they generate revenue. Global expansion and localization, that's adapting language, user experience, and price models for different markets. Now, when you talk digitalization, doesn't have any boundary. You talk about Temu. Temu is in Cote d'Ivoire, Temu is Togo, Temu is in Burkina Faso, Temu is almost everywhere in Africa now. But all you know is Temu Ghana. Although you can't find their office. But I can tell you that I know in that recent time, a few West African countries that have been to recent times, Temu is almost everywhere. When you get there, you use their platforms, you see Temu advertise, just like the way they advertise in Ghana. Okay, so that's how these things are happening. Then you also have data-driven marketing and retargeting, using AI and machine learning to personalize customer experience in that sense. Now, there's stage 5 that talks about maturity and optimization, and enhancing performance and user experience, continuous improvement to design and speed, accessibility, and then also customer retention strategy and implementing loyalty programs, exclusive content and premium features. At this point, you would have matured and optimized the market to a point whereby you would have segmented the market to know which is which of them, which market will you folk are loyal enough to implement loyal programs, which of them are premium, deserve premium features. Are they ready to pay? They will pay for those features, okay, to ensure that they get what they want. Then we have the stage 6, that the decline or the sunsetting, that is phasing out obsolete products or transition users, end of life strategies, gradual discontinue while providing alternative or upgrade. So anytime there are new upgrades or you are asked to update, what it simply means is that the old one has ended. The life of the old one has ended. But it will not show. The company is not going to tell you that that is ended. No. They're only asking you to upgrade. Okay? They will only asking you that. They will start appealing to you to upgrade, and it will get to a time you can access it. They will tell you it's an old version, like WhatsApp. You know, sometimes WhatsApp, you use WhatsApp, and then you wake up one day and you like WhatsApp is not working well. And then it will indicate to you that your app is updated, it's outmoded, so you need to upgrade it. What it means is that that app, that version that you were using, has ended its life. And can you count how many times you have to do this in a year? In a year, you may have to do it like 3 or 4 times. Telling you that for WhatsApp alone, in a year, it has about 3 different end of life based on the application that you are using. You understand? Why? Because they are discovering new things, as I've indicated earlier on. They are discovering new things, they are adding on. But as they add on, the old programs will not be able to sustain it. So they have to get a new program that can now sustain the new ideas and additions that they are putting on the platform. And if you know, if you follow WhatsApp well now, WhatsApp is offering a lot of new ideas, new additions. Every now and then there are new additions to the program. If you go to the settings, formerly WhatsApp was, when you go to the settings, there were a few icons. But now when you go to the settings, look at the number of icons there. It tells you that they are upgrading every day, and that's the reason why from time to time they will tell you that the old version is obsolete. When you want to access it, it will not come. You have to do it again. Okay, when I was trying to, I think one of the reasons why I wasn't getting earlier, I delayed in joining was that the even though just yesterday I used the Zoom, but it tells me that my Zoom application is obsolete. So I had to download. That's the reason why I delayed. Is when I was about to use it, and then it wasn't going through. I checked, and then it indicated to me that I troubleshoot it. It indicated to me that I need to download a new version. You understand? So that's how these things happen. So in the digital ecosystem, you won't see that the product gone completely obsolete or the product is dead, as you may see it in the regular product. But the application, new ones will come. Because you don't have enough information to determine, you will not know, but the owners of the application know when it is coming to an end. And when there's a need to introduce a new one, they will do that. So they will ensure that user transition and data migration does not get lost. So when you update your WhatsApp platform, it doesn't change your contact list or the old WhatsApp that you've had on it. Nothing changes. All right, you still see them. And then we also post-sunset support, legacy management, and that is maintaining documentation, archives, and security patches. Like I indicated, WhatsApp, you go there and all your archives, things will be there. Now, how do you stay competitive in the digital landscape? Okay, you must understand that the digital landscape keep on evolving. That's the only way you stay relevant. If you don't evolve with the trends, you are likely to be obsolete. Okay, because there's a very serious competition among them, and everybody is coming up with new things to ensure that you leverage the market dynamics. Then there's also consistent innovation, and that's, like I indicate, that feed into the evolving, and then leveraging latest technology. A lot of the technologies that are coming up are bringing a lot of challenges in that sense. And then look at the benefits. So it enables business to adopt digital trends and consumer needs, allow software companies to provide continuous updates and fix bugs, support fintech growth through digital solutions, and enhance competitive advantage for startups and reduces operational costs through clouds. Now, earlier on when we did first competitor brands, when we I think in our first class we did something about what is this? Online competitor brands that really come in and they kind of take up the market for the prominent big businesses, they come in and they just come in with a very simple idea. They don't operate any major outlets, but they become a big problem for new companies to cope with. And then they you wake up in the morning, they take up all your market. Because the reason is that they might have introduced a new application that consumers seem to like, that consumers seem to enjoy much more than what you know. And so a lot of times, you wouldn't see them as, you wouldn't see them coming. They just enter the industry and then they run you down completely without you knowing what to do. Okay. Digital first disruptors. Yes. Digital first disruptors. These are, if you remember, we had an extensive discussion on it. These are disruptors that enter the industry and then they mess you up. And what do? They leverage on some of these new applications and new ideas where it offers much more improved offers to the end user, such that the end user feels much more convenient and cheaper in doing business. So before you realize, they are kind of doing so much that you who have been in the business for long don't understand or might have not thought about. Okay. So some of the challenges of the digital product lifecycle management is limited internet infrastructure. Of course, that is a good old challenge in our jurisdiction, and then also cybersecurity risk, the issue of data vulnerability, and we talked about digital footprint, how everything that we do, when you buy a phone and you even set up your phone, look at how much information you have to put into your phone. You don't know where that information is going, whether it's going to your network or it's going to the owner of the phone, the applications on it, you don't even know. But you provide so much information in order to use. Okay, then regulatory barriers, compliance with local laws on digital products. Already, we say all sorts of things. We've made a lot of noise about what do you call it, data. But you tell me how well we are able to manage our data in this country. Nobody can say. Okay, nobody can even tell us the volume of data that we have in the system hanging. Nobody knows. We have data protection, agency. That's what they do. They know. Then the high initial investment, of course, costly digital transformation for small businesses. For small businesses, digitalization can be expensive. Then we have consumer trust issues. The adoption of digital-only products remain a challenge. We lack, for instance, ATM. I think last month, I got so frustrated one of the weekends. My mobile money wasn't working. I wanted to do transaction. MTN wasn't working for almost the whole day. No transaction was going through. I go to ATM, I can't access my money. I go to the bank, nothing is happening. I go to the bank, there's a long queue. That tells me, just give me an indication that I wasn't the only person facing that problem. So if you depend on digitalization alone, meanwhile, I wanted to give money to somebody. I think I bought something. I had bought something by the roadside and I wanted to pay, only to realize that my mobile money wasn't working. ATM too wasn't working. So what do? I bought a thing and already started eating. and it became so frustrating to have to take money from somebody and pay the guy off. Somebody I know around there just gave the money to him paid for me, and then I paid the guy later in the day. Because he knows me in the area, so it wasn't a problem for him. But it was very embarrassing and frustrating. So since then, I've decided that I won't keep digital money alone. I always want to keep some small minimum amount of money on me that when it gets worse, I will not disgrace myself again. So these are some of the real challenges that happen in this case. And then the lack of capacity development for professionals. And I believe partially that's the reason why we are studying these courses. The manpower and the professionals to manage a lot of these things we don't have. Okay, all over the world, not here alone. All over the world, there's serious lack of, digital capable people to ensure that systems are working. Right. Okay, this is a case study, so I won't waste my time on it. These are just the key pointers of the study, and then the references. I've shared the slides and an article and a case study on your platform. Have you seen it?
Yes, please, we have.
Okay, so it is now, I think it's now 3 o'clock. So let's come back in the next hour. We come back at 4. And then when we come back, we come and discuss the case study. So kindly go through the case study. Please, I want everybody back. And like I said, to discuss the case study and see the way around it. Okay? Or 4 o'clock is too much. Let's do 3:30. 4 o'clock, some of you may sleep. So let's do 3:30. Is that okay? Hello?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah, so let's come back at 3:30 and then come and discuss. You say? So meet at 3:30. Thanks.
All right, sir.
Okay, sir.
All right, so we are back. We are back. Can you call your colleagues too? Come, let's continue. Okay, so can we start? What have we learned from the case?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes. I learned that online platforms and other technologies, they play a huge role in hospitality. They help to adjust the prices to attract more customers, and also they use data and software to study the customer behavior, and also to check on the other the competitors in the same business.
So if you remember when we started, we indicated that for digital pricing, it is dependent on real-time, it's based on real-time engagement. These are based on machine learning automation, and then also customer personalization. And so the case study is telling you that those are some of the ways of attracting new customers. Right. So just for you, yes.
It also talks about integrating of bargaining into what digital pricing. So that is what the Ghanaians are expecting, to negotiate prices as in the traditional way of marketing. So they feel like it is also nice to bargain prices when it comes to digital pricing. That is what I've learned, sir.
But is it something that we see here?
Yes, sir.
Do we here in Ghana? Do we do a lot of digital bargaining?
Yeah, said there are some places we do bidding. You bid and the best price goes for it. And sometimes they bargain, they give discounts. Maybe you say I'm coming to take 2 rooms. Maybe you can give me a discount of this. So they try to integrate it, digital bargaining.
Okay. Sometimes people will tell you my budget. Okay, my budget is this, and I want that. Is it possible?
Yes, doc.
And then straight away, if it's possible, they agree on it. So, all right. Any more ideas? Any more points? This one, everybody will say something. So, if you want us to wrap up early, because there's also the article for us to work on. So, but if I leave you to go and read, you will not. We will do it here. So who next? I've seen Elias has spoken. Kenu has spoken. Who else? Okay, so I'll call Anthony.
Yes, sir.
Anthony, let me hear from you. What have you learned from? Or is it William? Okay. William, let me hear from you.
Yes, I also noticed that different prices from the same maybe establishment or brand also confuses customers. That's different prices at the same time. So the locals have different price, and those who are booking online also have different price. And such prices confuse this segmentation of customers.
Okay. And do you think it's an issue? How does it happen? Because already these are two different platforms. In an online, we have learned that prices can be determined by personalization, the person's usage and journey and track record of usage can determine the price. So, and in a face-to-face engagement, the company might not have that information. And so, whatever effort the consumer has put in, it becomes difficult to track and actually put a figure on it and say that this is the value of the turnover on the person. However, on a digital platform, you know that anytime the person has made inquiries, anytime the person has paid, when you go and print the person's account, it shows. You understand? So obviously, it will bring some disengagement in those platforms. So though it indicates that it's important for you to know that these are two different platforms and they don't carry the same weight. You want to be sure of which of them you want to engage at a point in time. Any more points? Okay. Owusua. Was it Ura? Ura's iPhone. Who's Ura's iPhone?
So please, it's me.
Me, which is me.
Ken, please. It's Ken.
Oh, Ken. Oh, okay. Now you
Yes,
have
please.
evolved to Ura. Okay, Ura.
So
Let me hear
so I also realized from the case study, I think there was this challenge I also realized when I was reading it in terms of fairness and transparency. You know, many customers, they don't understand why hotel prices change frequently. So when it happens that way, customers also lose trust in the pricing systems when it comes to hotels. And also, the local travelers may also perceive that hotels are too expensive. So with this issue, it becomes more very sensitive for international tourists to also receive promotional packages, while the local people also have a standardized rate. That's the challenge I realized when I was reading.
The point is that when it comes to digital pricing, what we must understand is that the prices are personalized. So if you're a local person, you have your price. But when establish the fact that there are personalized pricing. So if you're a local person, you are likely to get your price. And then if you're a foreigner too, you are likely to get your price. Okay. For instance, even far before we started this digital pricing, we used to have, if you're a local person, you don't pay in foreign currency, you don't pay in dollars. But if you're a foreigner and you come to a hotel in Ghana, you pay in dollars, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And for instance, if you're a foreigner and you come to Ghana, you may pay in dollars. In fact, likely you definitely pay in dollars. However, if you're a local person and you go to the hotel, you talk in cities. So those dynamics have existed, but in recent times, digital pricing has made all these things much more real to us in the sense. Okay, thank you. Any more?
Okay. Good afternoon, Doc.
Clara, good afternoon.
Okay. Mine is also a question. Okay. In the case study, I realized that I think we were complaining that the local people they are not receiving discounts. They don't receive discounts when it comes to when the prices maybe are beaten down, but it only affects the foreigners. I don't know why that is possible. I think it should cut across. There should be fairness in this. In the case study that I read, it doesn't really
Yes.
affect the local people, but then it's only goes for the foreigners, which sometimes the local people,
you find
yes,
it to be
find.
unfair. Yes,
Or is
so
it because of the currency?
no, you see, when we're concluding in the slides, we noticed that one of the challenges of digital pricing is the issue of transparency and consistency. Because as long as prices are being personalized between you and me, we can from where I'm sitting now, we can ask for both, request for a boat ride, and the pricing will be different. Do you understand?
Yes, please.
A husband and wife going to the same area.
Mm-hmm.
One time I wanted to pick a boat, myself and my wife wanted to pick a boat. So, and we're I wasn't getting a ride. So I asked her to also check, so she used the app. I also use my app. We're all searching. Now you notice that later I got to know that the fact that she was searching and I was also searching, that is putting pressure on the system already, making it look as if there's high demand. Because the two of us are going to the same place, and the two of us have decided to request. Don't forget that we all have two phones. So I'm using my two phones, two different account names to search. She is using two different account names to search. So in all, 4 people searching from the same area. What means that the demand goes high. That's the first problem we have set for ourselves. Secondly, the pricing for these 4 different accounts came differently because of the usage patterns. Then I noticed that the particular account that I use to request that ride most at times had a lower rate than the account that did not have, that was not used regularly. You understand? Then I also noticed that even in terms of accuracy of the location, when you are searching and you allow your location, you open your location app, the location must be picked effectively. I noticed that the one that I use regularly had a more effective location point than the other one. This is my personal experience. And so it comes back to the point of personalization of the pricing. The more you engage the platform, the more the algorithm is able to keep your information and ensure, because don't forget that the same place, you have gone from there, you have come back from there. So the algorithm locates that location very well and cap it into your profile. And so once you start to search, it offers that opportunity for you to now go ahead and get more information in that sense. So it is not wrong. When it comes to personalization of pricing, you are likely to have different pricing. That is the major challenge with this. And so I can't really give you a solution why the prices are different, because we're already established in literature that it is one of the problems. Based on the usage and the machine automation, how the algorithm is able to read you. You understand?
Okay, sir. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Yes.
I was also thinking that because probably they are, or because of the currency, when they are quoting in dollars, dollar is on a higher side, and then maybe CD equivalent, I'm sure it beats down a little bit. That's why I was thinking if probably there's any discount or something, it affects the dollar than the local people. That was what I was thinking.
That could be a reason. That could also be a reason. But I can't speak to that effectively because I have no idea how that platform will work.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
so these
though.
are ideas that are likely to happen.
Okay.
It could be that in the system, the algorithm is programmed to recognize US dollars. And so any rate is calculated in US dollars and then translated into CD or any other currency. You understand? And when it happens like that, obviously it means that in dollars you have to pay, in CDs you probably have to pay more.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Any more questions? Any more contributions? I'm here to hear from Anthony, Apia, Clement, Mawan, Paul, Rahel, Sefako. I haven't heard from you guys. Fafa.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Rahel.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Rahel.
Okay, so I also learned that digital pricing actually makes hotel booking easier and faster, right? But it can also create problems when prices change too much. That's what I've learned.
Okay, how? When the prices change too much, how?
You see, let's say during holidays, like a lot of people come to, let's say in Accra during holidays, a lot of people come to Accra. So now hotels are going to increase their price.
And for tomatoes, then you cut
Hey, Mawan, you are disturbing us. Right, please, guess.
Okay, so I said, like, let's say in Accra, and during holidays, a lot of people come to Accra to like have fun. So you see, when you get to that point, hotels increases their prices. But they may not tell customers. Let's say before the price was, let's say $100 per night, but now because of the holidays, they've increased it to like 150 per night. But a customer may not know. So when the person comes to Accra and they realize that the price has increased, he or she might get upset. So that's what I'm trying to say too.
Okay, so the point really is that it is not the hotel that intentionally increase the price. The actual fact, based on what we have learned in literature, is that the automating and the algorithm generate the prices based on demand, real-time demand. So like we are saying, if today is a holiday or a Sunday, for instance, you have more people have time on their hands and they want to spend. More people want to step outside and enjoy. Okay, so it means
Yes.
that the demand on the hotel platform would indicate that there's a high demand, and for that matter, automatically the price will adjust. And it's personal. See, what you must not forget is that if personal pricing, it becomes a personal form of pricing. So what you are getting as expensive, it may go to somebody the same price or less or more, and the person might not
Okay.
see that expensive.
Okay.
You understand? Maybe based on your based on your user history, based on your user history, the system will give you a certain price. Maybe you come there once a whole year. Okay, so
Yeah.
the person is giving you a certain price. Somebody too has been every month visit the place, so he has an accumulated. Oh, sorry, he has accumulated. He's an investor. He invests in hotels too. So every month he's been there. Every 2 weeks, so or he has a very active account. So what you are getting, the person might not get it.
Yeah.
You understand? So
Yes.
what I want to draw attention to, don't always look at the difficult side. Sometimes too, it goes the other way around. You understand? Sometimes you may get a price that is below your budget, and you'll be excited based on
Yeah.
your budget. So if you want to improve your chances of getting a good price, please be an hotel investor, and you will get good price. Right?
Okay. Thank you. Mm.
Welcome. Yes. Who else?
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I have a question,
Yeah.
and
Go.
if maybe someone can. I'm looking at what the regulator is doing in the industry because I can, from the case study, I can see that the regulator is a little bit handicapped in promoting the SMEs in the hospitality industry.
Well, you see, the handicap. Also, when you say okay, so when you say the regulator is handicapped, what does it mean?
So,
Because don't forget,
from
you see, regulators'
okay,
job. The regulator's job is to come out with policy guidelines, ensure compliance. Because we don't forget, Ghana as a country, we believe we have opened our space for competitiveness, isn't it? We operate an open market. And for an open market, that is why there's 5-star hotel, 3-star hotel, 4-star hotel, budget hotels, and so on. So if your money is small, go to a budget hotel. Why are you coming to complain at Kempinski? You understand? Are you getting the point?
yes, I'm getting the point.
So if your money is inadequate, then go to also there. Go and take the one that you can afford. And allow those who want to eat soakings at Kempinski 1,000 Ghana cedis to go there. Those are people who want to go and buy soakings, just gari and sugar and granite. That one I can prepare even right now. Yeah, I have a mean where I remember the way I used to prepare it when I was in the secondary school. Yeah, me, I enjoyed that one. But I can't go and pay thousands for the same thing I can pay. But somebody will pay because that is the person's level. So what it means is that, again, it brings us to the point of open market and personalization and what the system, how the system generated. As for the regulator's job is not to determine prices. Because the regulator does not control costs of operation. The regulator's job is to ensure that there's competitiveness in the market. That's it. And competitiveness means that what is there is supposed to be there, what consumers are supposed to enjoy is there, and you are not shortchanging anybody. That's all. Aside that one, the rest is open. You understand? So in terms of pricing, obviously the regulator is going to be handicapped. But regulator's job is not to determine pricing. It's to develop policy guidelines to ensure that the industry is working well. So, for instance, if you are pricing a 3-star pricing and your services is 1-star, then it's the regulator. That's where the regulator will come in and say that no, you cannot do that. But if it's promising 3-star and delivering 4-star or delivering 3-star, the regulator has nothing to say. It's you, the consumer, your choice. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any more questions? Any more? Mawan, let me hear from you. Don't go off. Let me hear from you.
I said, Doc, I wanted to ask a question, and that's why I wanted to.
Yes, so ask your question.
Okay, Doc, from all this that I've heard, or all this that we are saying, does it mean there's algorithm bias in pricing, in digital pricing?
Exactly, it is.
Because the example you cited with the experience with you and your wife, it appears so.
Yes, that's the fact. There's always an algorithm bias. In fact, algorithm, that's one of the biggest challenges with algorithm, the use of algorithm, the bias. So for instance, let's move to Uber. Those who are into ride and hailing businesses, you know, the more you perform, the more the algorithm picks you up. Are you aware that if you're a rider, if you're a driver in any of those platforms and you drive, you are fishing, you are getting good scores. You see that all the time, any opportunity that comes, you are the first person for consideration. You understand? So it's bias.
Okay.
Meanwhile, there may be somebody who could easily take the job, but the fact that the person's score is not a high line score, the algorithm may not consider that person first. Algorithm will consider people who are performing and showing up all the time. That's how the algorithm. So as for bias, when it comes to algorithm, there's a serious bias. It's one of the major challenges with algorithm. It can be manipulated. That's basically what it is. Any more?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Anthony.
Yes, my own is a question from the consumer perspective. Does digital pricing improve or worsen customer experience in Ghana?
No, what do you think? Can anybody answer him? I want somebody to answer him before I come in. Ask your question again.
Your question again.
Yes,
ask
what
the
I
question again.
said is from the consumer perspective. Does digital pricing, does it improve or worsen customer experience in Ghana?
Can anybody assist him? Yeah, Clement, if you want to say something, let's hear you.
So I wanted to speak about the regulator bit before his question came.
Okay, so go
So
ahead.
when he's done, then yes. Because from the case study,
Okay.
I was thinking that the regulatory body must have some measures put in place, which is maybe requiring hotels and this. I mean, these hotels to disclose pricing conditions clearly. Like the earlier discussion we had with respect to the example you gave about the Uber people. At the season, the price can go very high and you don't have the metrics to determine what is influencing the price at that point. So some measures must be put in place to disclose pricing conditions and make them very clear for consumers or customers. Yes, that is what I wanted to talk about. But I feel this will also prevent misleading price manipulation when this transparency bit from the regulator is in place. That is what I wanted to talk about, sir.
Okay, so Clement, your question, Anthony,
Not a question.
your question is still on hold because some of this discussion is opening up your answers. Okay, so you listen carefully. So and this I'm putting to the whole class. From what Clement is saying, what kind of response do we give him? Clement, if you may want to say it again, so I want everybody to participate in this.
Yes, sir. I was saying that the regulators should put some measures in place. And I mentioned regarding the case study, asking the hotels to disclose some, pricing conditions and make it clear. Then I also referred to the example you gave earlier regarding the usage of Uber app, whereby sometimes a trip is 150 at a point, it can move to, let's say, 80 or even higher based on the time and on the demand. And I'm saying if the regulators put some measures in place, this will prevent misleading price manipulation. Yes, that is what I wanted to talk about. And also maybe encourage some standardized pricing as well.
Yes, can anybody assist him?
Yes, sir.
Yes, William.
Yes, I think I support his idea because in Ghana we have certain regulators like the PURC that give price ceiling. They give prices ceiling for ECG, Ghana Water, and other companies, and these prices they have to obey. They have to go by these prices that have been set by PURC, and that helps to regulate the energy market in Ghana so that ECG cannot be charging arbitrarily. So if the same is applied to the digital pricing, it will go a long way to help consumers to be able to manage their relationship with these digital brands.
All right. Anybody who can assist us in clearing this? Anybody assist us in clearing this? Okay, you see, let me point out to you all that let's get the distinction clear. One, for instance, if you want to use ECG and PURC, for instance, ECG, PURC, ECG is a monopolized institution. It's a government and also a government enterprise. You understand? So in the eyes of the world, we need something that will control it. Now, if you switch the coin, you switch the back of the coin, hotel is an industry that has different kind of players that operate different levels of accommodation. So now, what we should worry about is how to control Airbnbs now. You understand? If there's any regulation to come up, then we should start thinking about how to control Airbnb. Because what people are doing now is that there are a lot of the things that people cannot do in a hotel out of regulation. They are doing it at Airbnbs. So I've heard people having sex parties at Airbnb joints. They rent a whole apartment for a weekend and it's a complete sex party. You just come in, you do whatever you want, then you go, you pay and you go. Pay as you go.
Hey.
You understand? Yeah, that's what is happening in town now. These things, you cannot do them in a hotel. A regularized hotel Because in a hotel, if you are even entering a hotel room with a minor, and the minor is not your child, in certain standards, they will not allow. Or sometimes they won't allow two adult men to go and sleep in the same hotel. So there's some form of regulation in the hotel. That's what I was saying. The responsibility of the regulator, the hotel regulator, is not on pricing, but it is the mechanism of operation. What you are supposed to do, the do's and don'ts of the hotel. And I gave an example that, for instance, if you are pricing, why will one hotel price a cup of tea 100 cedis? Another one will price a cup of tea 10 cedis. Another one will price a cup of tea for 5 cedis. It's the status of the hotel. So if you are in a 7-star hotel, that you yourself, you know the location of the hotel, the ambience and everything of the hotel is 7-star. When they tell you to pay 1,000 cedis for a cup of tea, you don't complain. But if you are in a budget hotel where it's only a fan, and even the fan is noisy, that kind of hotel, and you tell me to pay even 10 cedis on a cup, I'm going to fight you. You understand? In that case, because the regulator will now come in and say, no, with the kind of facilities that you have, you cannot charge 100 cedis for this. That one, the regulator can come in. You understand? But it also comes back to the consumer personality. What do you want? If somebody is taking you out, as a lady, if somebody is taking you out to a hotel, you want to go to a fan hotel, or you want to go to a hotel that when you enter, when you immediately get to the door itself open for you. It's a keyless door. Nobody can open the door at any point in time. So if you bring contraband goods inside the room, nobody will see. Once the contraband goods enter your room, it's closed. In fact, it's only when you are ready to come out that you can come out. If you are not ready to come out, nobody can come in unless you access it. You open the access. You understand? So there's high level of security. So it depends on what you are looking for. All right? It depends on what you are looking for in a hotel accommodation. So regulators are there, but the two industries are not the same. If you want, we can talk about electricity because it has world market control. You can talk about fuel because it has world market control. And a lot of time, the government actually supports in all these projects. But no government will support a hotel. Hotel accommodation is purely private engagement. And so, if somebody has bought a seaside, have you seen, how many of you use the Labadi Road, the Labadi Teshi Road? You see, there's this tall building by after Labadi and that hotel.
Yeah, the very tall one.
Yeah, the very tall one. Do you know the problem with it?
I think
The building is tilted.
mm,
Indeed, they stop it, that they won't allow it because it was supposed to be a hotel. So look at how much the person put in to build a hotel. But in the course of the hotel, if you look at it from the top, you realize that the building itself was tilted to the right side. What it means is that anytime there's a shakeup, that building, wherever you are, you drop. So if a Chinese man is able to get a technology to build a hotel in that location, that sea-level location, and you can go in there and enjoy, then you are sure that you are going to pay more. What will be so obi to be bano besia, that means the person putting a lot of investment. And for that matter, the person must reap the investment. So the cost of using that hotel will be extremely high. However, you cross the road and come to the other side, which is Labadi. Who want to be there? Nobody wants to be there because it looks like a complete slum. You understand? So these are some of the dynamics that play in the industry. It depends on the industry. When it comes to petroleum and electricity, they are mainly controlled by government of the day. Because ECG says that people complain about ECG, the same people who complain that they don't have enough money. Look at when they come to public account committee, look at the kind of money they waste. And if you cannot manage the money that you are getting, But you always come and tell us the money is not enough. Now, who should be paying you money for you to go and waste it every year? You can exceed your budget for $300 million. Then the government will pay every year. You exceed your budget the way you want. The government will pay. Reckless management, and the government pays. Then you come and take the money from the ordinary person who is struggling. You say that the money is not enough. So, you know, these are challenges that exist only in our part of the world. In other places, you don't see this thing. You see real value. You see, the point is that I always say that nobody is unreasonable. When people see value, they'll pay for it. If people see that, oh, what I'm getting real value from this business, they will want to pay. Nobody want to interested in enjoying it for free without paying. But if you are not giving me, as if for instance, in the whole month, or if in a week, I'm supposed to get 260 hours of electricity. And then I calculated I have like 72 hours of electricity, and you bring me the same bill every month. Do you think it's fun? No. So the industries are different. But for a hotel, it's a matter of choice and interest and the service they offer. You understand? There are some hotels they say bed and breakfast, and their breakfast is buffet. If you go, in fact, there are some hotels, I've been in some hotels, and when they tell you bread and breakfast, you should be happy. Because the kind of breakfast that you eat, it can take you the whole day. Because breakfast, almost have a rice, they serve, and the breakfast is like that. It starts from 6 a.m. to 10. So within that time, we'll be to make there twice. Somebody can go and eat very early in the morning by 7 o'clock, go around and come. When it's 9:30, go and eat again and keep that one for the afternoon. And then in the evening, you do whatever you want to do. So when you travel to certain places, it's very exciting. Bed and breakfast is very interesting. In some places too, the bread and breakfast, you cry. One sausage, one slice of bread, and there's some baked beans, portions of baked beans, and then tea leaf. One bag. And one, no. Why was with the African breakfast? You understand? So it depends. It's a matter of choice. So these two places, if your company is booking for you, which one will you go? Of course, you want a place where you can save money and relax the more. So it depends on what the hotel is offering. And like I'm saying now, people are, because of automation, all hotels have systems. In fact, now when you check in any hotel and they ask for your information and they put it in there, automatically it opens an account for you. It's not like those days that they say hotel, it used to be like you go to a hotel, your information is not supposed to be kept. But now, because of automation and digitalization, immediately you check into the hotel, automatically it records all your bio information and keep it in their system as a customer. That is why from time to time, when there are promotions, you receive information from them, you receive promotion and campaign messages from them. It tells you that, in fact, any institution that you receive promotion campaign from them, it tells you that they have opened an account for you. Your information is there. That's why anytime they send a message, you get it. You understand? So that's how these things operate. And once the account is in your name, is personalized, and you continue to use the account, of course, with time, the algorithm also is able to pick you out that you are a regular customer, and for that matter, you also deserve a certain kind of discount. When there's time to run promotion, your name will pop up. When it's time to run a discount, your name will pop up. Or when there's a booking crash, for instance, when 2-3 people are booked at the same time, there's only one space, you are likely to be considered because you are regular. So all these things come to the table. Now, let me talk about Clement's question. Clement, you say what you want to know whether this kind of pricing is for the good or bad or is for the good or worse situation of the customer. Is that not what you're saying?
So
Yes,
that's
please.
Anthony. That's yes,
Yeah,
Anthony's
that's
question.
what I asked.
Yeah, that's Anthony. Okay, so you want to know how? Okay, you see, so what it is that you cannot say whether it's worse or otherwise, because you see, we've already established that the algorithm is very biased. Okay, and the algorithm, you see, the one major mechanism that the algorithm uses is usage. So the algorithm recognizes you the more you use it. That's the only time you see the work of the algorithm. And so that's why I was telling you that those who are in the riding and hailing industry, when you see that there are some people who are always getting orders. Even before they land, they are getting new orders. If they have to turn it away, otherwise the orders even when they turn it away, see the orders keep on coming. And it's because in terms of ratings, and so those people, when you check their ratings, you see that they are very high score in ratings. So the algorithm recognizes effective usage and it will want to give you more. So it means that if you are using more, it will give you more. If you are doing less, it will give you less. It's as simple as that. So the more you put in, the more you get. You get a point. So that's how these algorithm works. So that's the main characteristic of the algorithm. The algorithm will always pick you up based on how efficient you are. So if you're a regular customer and you are coming in every day, that is why on one of my accounts, anytime I order, I get a discount on it because it's a regular. I use that account on a regular basis. Sometimes I pay some amount that it sounds very unreasonable to me, unreasonably low, because knowing the kind of pricing that I pay every time. Sometimes you use the taxi and you pay, it looks like it's too small. You at the back of my mind, I say, actually, system, I go easy. I say, but then sometimes you dash somebody something small. But the point is that the algorithm also has a reason for doing that. Because cumulatively, what you have spent over time and the mileage that you have run over time automatically qualifies you to get a certain discount. And that's what you are getting. So it's difficult to say whether it's for good or for bad. It's for good if you are regular and you are using it. And I don't know to say bad or worse when you are not doing much. All right. Any more questions? Otherwise, I think we've done enough. The rest of the time, you can use it to read the case study, the article, and then read the article. So there are two things. Read the article and write. In fact, I noticed something. I need half a page. Half a page is like, say, 400 words of your understanding of the article. Please don't go and copy the article and give it to me, because the article I gave it to you, I know everything in the article. When you copy it for me, I will give you no marks because I already know it. So I want you to give me your words of understanding. How do you understand the article in your own English language? Not what the article. So don't go and quote, don't just go and copy what the article says and send it to me, please. I won't accept it. I need you to now go in there, read the article. I need you to read the article and in your own understanding, summarize it in maximum 400 words and send it to me. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any question? Otherwise, use the rest of
Just to be sure, it means the article is the factors influencing purchase intention in the e-commerce.
factors. Yes. Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
Sir, please, should you send it to your mail or WhatsApp?
Yeah, send it to my mail.
Okay.
Send it to my
Including its weaknesses,
Also
Yes.
limitations.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Hey, stop.
All right. So thank you very much. And God willing, we'll meet next week.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
All right.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.